morning, and thank you for joining the Education, Employment and Skills team at the Tees Valley Combined Authority. We're basically going to give you a brief introduction to skills and employment in Tees Valley, alongside discussing the Combined Authority's role, and also a brief overview of the support available to businesses at the moment within Tees Valley from the Combined Authority. But can I urge you, while we are hearing the presentation, to really think about what are the things that you would really like the Combined Authority to help you with in terms of employment and skills, and also how would we like us to look at investing in support for employment and skills so that you can get the best workforce, skilled workforce now and in the future. And I really would like you to think about that and think about what questions you would like to ask us at the end of the presentations, if that's okay. So basically, we are in unprecedented times, as we all know, but in some ways this is a real opportunity for change. It's a real opportunity to get clarity about what skills we actually want our local residents to have, and how we want to navigate through the skills system to really make sure we have a skilled workforce for the future. It is a real opportunity for reshaping the skills agenda in the system. So we have an opportunity to be quite challenging in terms of what we ask of the Combined Authority and public funding, but also how we want the Combined Authority to maybe represent business needs in terms of skills and employment to the national government. So where are the support mechanisms that business would really like for now and in the future? I mean, clearly we will have an unemployment challenge. There's no doubt about that. We're already seeing increasing numbers of people claim unemployment benefit. But what that does mean for businesses is that there will be an available and skilled workforce, and it will be on our doorstep. It will be available immediately, and therefore working with public agencies like ourselves, like Job Centre Plus, to really try and engage to look at where we might recruit the skilled personnel that might need in the future. It is really important that we engage at that point. I think the other thing is around in Tees Valley, we have a really good further education supply. We have 5 great colleges plus the Northern School of Art, and we have many independent training providers and commercial training providers that are providing really essential skills for businesses at the moment. And there's a great opportunity for people to engage in skills provision whilst they're unemployed. So again, us being very clear about what skills we require from our businesses means that we can really help shape what that offer is so that people can engage in the skills system and gain the skills during this time for the future. And when we look at national and local government intervention, I think it's really important that we think about what's our ask of government. So what are the things that we want to change? So for example, Tees Valley Combined Authority has a devolution deal with the Department of Education, and we do have an opportunity to shape what that skills offer is. So the Combined Authority does have £30 million per year to look at adult skills. So really we need to engage much more with business to try and identify what those skills should be, so that we can help colleges and training providers provide the skills service that you need. And again, a real opportunity for us to ask for further change. It might be for further funding, it might be for further different qualifications that businesses might need. It might be something very specific that businesses need that we're not seeing at the moment. And it might be something that we want to pilot. We might say that in the future, when we look at the opportunities in Tees Valley for economic growth around clean energy, for example, that we want to try something very different. So I think engaging with businesses and having this kind of dialogue with you today is really important to us, and at no other time, I think, has it been even more important, where we try and really try to assess what the skills needs are of our local businesses and how we might articulate that to national government and how we might inform our own investment to address your needs. Can you just follow on the slides, please? Claude, are you able to move the slides on, please? Okay, sorry, I think we've maybe got a problem with our slides, but well, I'll just carry on and go through the slides that I have. Yes, further on again, please. Great, that's fine, thank you. So in terms of business engagement, I think I've said that it's more crucial than ever, and we've got several reasons for engaging with you around this. It's about job creation, so we need to be clear about where the opportunities for job creation are, and how we might want to escalate that and bring it forward in terms of a timeline, and is there anything that we can do to support with that. It's also about work experience. It's really crucial that people who are unemployed, and particularly young people, really get opportunities for work experience. And in terms of supporting local projects, in Tees Valley, we do have, many projects that are funded by public funding. And in effect, those local projects are helping people gain experience, gain personal skills, and also qualifications to really help them get work and help businesses to grow and sustain. In terms of giving chances to those that are disadvantaged in the labour market, we've already got many employers who are really proactive in looking to help people who are a long way from the labour market. And unfortunately, in these unprecedented times, we will find that there will be high numbers of people that become even more disadvantaged in the labour market. So again, really encouraging employers to help us to give valuable work experience and information around sharing the knowledge and the experience that businesses have in terms of what the work function looks like and how to help those most disadvantaged in the labour market move into work. Clearly, apprenticeships are incredibly important to us, and you're going to hear more about this as we move through the presentation. Apprenticeships are one of the key skills provision areas where we look at the technical skills that people need when they work, and therefore apprenticeships are incredibly important in the type of industries we have in Tees Valley. And Tees Valley have been very strong in the past in terms of the number of apprenticeships that we do create. However, they are reducing. And again, as I say, we're going to hear more of that later on in the presentation. Then there's also an opportunity for businesses to really engage in retraining the existing workforce. So how do businesses identify the training needs of their existing workforce and maybe of the workforce of the future? And how do we make sure that we engage with the public sector funding to make sure that that training is possible, either within the workplace or around the workplace, without creating any sort of challenge to the delivery of the business. So these things are incredibly important to us at the moment in terms of business engagement, and I would urge you to try and get engaged with us as much as possible in any of these things. Can you pass the slides on again, please? Okay, thank you. So in terms of the combined authority, the things that we're doing at the moment, we are working with national government, as you'd expect, to really maximise the benefits of Tees Valley businesses and residents. Really important that we look at all the national initiatives that are being launched nationally to think about how we can embed those within Tees Valley. And again, you're going to hear some of those examples later in the presentation. So we're constantly engaging with different departments, obviously the Department of Education, but also the Department of Work and Pensions and Treasury, to really look at how we can support government to deliver the right support within Tees Valley. We're also looking at creating opportunity of business support for growth. We have got a significant business growth hub in the combined authority that's now well established, and I'm sure if you've joined other sessions this week, you will have heard more about that. But again, engaging with that growth hub, articulating any business needs that you have or any engagement that you'd like to have with us then through that growth hub opportunity will be incredibly important. In terms of rapid development of the South Tees development site, we are bringing forward many opportunities in the South Tees development site. And again, this morning there was a press notice around creating 40 jobs within the sites in terms of demolition. So we are looking to bring forward as many opportunities as we can on the South Tees development site. And what's really important from my perspective is that we have now in our procurement process really embedded social value. And that's where we use the procurement process to develop a contractual obligation on the contractors to deliver skills provision, engage in apprenticeships, engage in careers in education, and indeed help communities really access any jobs and training opportunities that will be on the South Tees development site. So that's really quite exciting. A lot of work, but it's great news in terms of looking at opportunity for the future. We're also looking at maximising new sector development and innovation. So really, how do we look at clean energy, the hydrogen announcements and all the opportunities that offshore wind might bring forward in the future? And we're also looking at biomedical, so some really high level, high value technical skills that will be required in those sectors. So how do we help those sectors develop, and how do we provide a skilled workforce for those? And those are the kind of things that we're thinking about at the moment. In terms of skills investment, obviously, as I've already said, the Tees Valley Combined Authority have a devolution deal where we are funding colleges for adult skills, independent and commercial training providers. Alongside looking at community learning, so how do we help people get onto that first run in terms of learning? And how do we support schools to create a progression and transition support from full-time school education right the way through further and higher education? So again, looking at how best to use that investment. We're obviously looking at apprenticeships and job creation, as I've already said, and you will hear more about that through the Kickstart opportunities that government have launched recently and the role that Combined Authority is taking there, and Sally from my team will talk about that later. We're also looking at how we work with Job Centre Plus to develop employability support through our local hubs. So how do we help the Grangetown, the Spinning Grove hubs, and hubs that are employment hubs that are being developed in other local authorities to really make sure we've almost got a one-stop shop or a no wrong door approach to helping people gain employment within Tees Valley. And then we've got careers education, again, never been so important in terms of getting as much information in front of young people and also to the wider population of people who might have to think about career changing. And getting that information direct from employers is absolutely key. Do not underestimate, I think, how important it is for employers to lead this in terms of giving us what really happened within their own businesses and how they can really support and help inform the choices of young people and unemployed people in terms of careers education. So I've done a bit of a whistle-stop tour there in terms of where we are right now and the things that we're doing as a combined authority. What I'd really like to do now is actually hand over to Jackie Banks, who's going to tell you a little bit about the skills system and how we're developing that for Business Pro. And then Jackie will follow on and introduce the rest of the team as we go forward. So if I could just hand over to Jackie now, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you, Shauna. I'm Jackie Banks and I'm the skills manager for the Tees Valley Combined Authority, and I'm based within the education and employment skills team. As Shauna has already set out, sorry, can we just have the slide called if that's okay? Thank you. The next one, please. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. So Shauna's already sort of mentioned, as part of the devolution deal for Tees Valley, the Tees Valley Combined Authority has had, if you like, the adult education budget devolved to us as part of that deal. And that's a budget of approximately £30 million per year. And this budget is to, if you like, as Shauna sort of said earlier, is to make sure that we are, if you like, equipping the Tees Valley residents and adults of Tees Valley with the right skills for the right business, the business needs of the Tees Valley. So we talk about developing a business growth, but what does that really mean? So the adult education budget, which is, you know, what I primarily sort of manage, we currently have 31 direct funded providers delivering the adult education and skills provision for us in the Tees Valley. And those providers, as Shona said, are made up of, you know, colleges, local authority providers, and independent training providers. And they in turn also subcontract to other provider organisations. But it's really my role to make sure that those providers who are funding via the adult education budget are absolutely, you know, planning and delivering the right provision, the right courses that are aligned to what the business needs are for the Tees Valley. So the next slide, please. So as Shona has said, this is a real opportunity for businesses in the Tees Valley to work with us to help shape the skills provision for the future. And when we say the future, obviously we've got to absolutely take into consideration the current climate that we're in. But it's essential that we get, you know, the provision that is right for, you know, the labour market in the Tees Valley. So now is, if you like, there's no better time for you to sort of communicate with us, engage with us, to tell us, if you like, what it is that your business needs in order to develop and further grow, or even to sustain yourselves during these very difficult times. And we know that during difficult times like this, that training and development of existing staff is just as crucial as, you know, making sure that the future workforce coming into your organisation is well equipped with the skills, whether it's the technical skills or the sort of the people and personal skills, if you like. So right now we are at a good point in the academic year in terms of planning for the next academic year, as well as, you know, within this year. It's a crucial time for you as businesses to engage with us, to tell us exactly, you know, what it is the adult education budget should be funding right now and in the future, in terms of making sure that we are supporting your businesses to grow in the Tees Valley, and to make sure that we have got the right people coming into your organisations in terms of your future workforce with the right skills. There is contact details at the bottom of the slide there in terms of the adult education budget inbox. By all means, please, you know, if you have any queries or if you want to discuss provision for your existing staff or your future sort of skills needs of your organisation, please do contact us and have that discussion, because we'd like to hear from you in terms of shaping the skills provision for the future. I'm just going to hand over now to Sally Gardner, who is going to talk a little bit about apprenticeships and the Kickstart programme.
Thank you, Jackie. Good morning, everybody. I'm Business Skills Manager with the Combined Authority, and I think what Jackie's quite clearly explained is sort of like the supply side of how we manage our employment education skills service. My job is really concentrating on the demand side, so really working with businesses to engage better with them to find out what it is they need, not only for sort of like current workforce development, but how we are going to manage training provision in the future. Shona alluded to a lot of the developments that are going on in Tees Valley, and irrespective of what's going on at the moment, there are a lot of future plans and investment planned for the Tees Valley, and we've got to really help businesses we've really got to help businesses sort of determine what skills needs they want, whether it's upskilling their own current workforce or whether they want to take on new employees. So my role is really about looking at how companies can plan for their workforce better, so how we can help develop the skills of the workforce, support recruitment, and by recruitment that could include things like industrial placement, so that might be trying the skills of some young people that are still in some form of education, or some people that are unemployed, and I'll talk about Kickstart in a moment. But it's about sort of like really focusing on apprenticeships as well. The infographic that's on the slide in front of you We can send that out because it's not 100% clear, but it just gives you a feel for where we are in terms of our numbers in Tees Valley. We've always done really well in Tees Valley with apprenticeships, but things did sort of start to slide about 3 or 4 years ago. So that infographic is based on data that's the most recent, and that's up until July last year. But you know, sort of we as I said, we have done really well with apprenticeship provision. We've got some really good apprenticeship providers in our FE colleges, our local authorities, and our independent training providers. But there were some sort of stark messages that came out of that data last year, in the fact that the number of our apprentices that started an apprentice had dropped, particularly in our 16 to 18 cohort. We saw fewer young people have the opportunity to actually go into an apprenticeship. We saw sort of like those intermediary levels, so that level 3 dropping. And we also saw the take up of higher and degree level apprenticeships dropping. We also saw achievement rates drop. And I know that all sounds really negative, but that's because we were in a really good place. So when things do start to shift negatively, they look worse than they are. So we always like to sort of compare ourselves nationally as well. So we have quite a challenge on our hands. And that's without the impact of COVID-19 and the sort of the impact that's had on employers and their apprenticeships. Can we move to the next slide, please? So in terms of apprenticeships, we've got really good. We've got a really good brand, that national brand, with a lot of the marketing and communication they do, the fire up, the awards and things. They've really helped young people, particularly, understand the importance of apprenticeships. And there's really high demand from young people as well. There's a lot of work being going on to make sure that the content of apprenticeships are much more fit for purpose. So we've got apprenticeship standards now, then apprenticeship frameworks. But year on year, we've seen a reduction in the amount of people that are taking on apprentices, and we just need to understand why. We've put a lot of investment into apprenticeship provision. The Combined Authority itself has invested in apprenticeship grants. More recently, a number of you might have seen that we did the new apprenticeship grant where we paid a wage subsidy. So we paid a wage subsidy of 100% for the first 6 months of a new apprentice for priority sectors for SME businesses. And we also we paid 50% of the wages up to 2 years, if that was the duration of their apprenticeship. So it was a substantial package, and it's really, the feedback we've had from businesses is it's been really well received. It is expensive, but it just shows you with a bit of creativity and with some really good business support that we can help sort of try and bolster some of that downward turn in apprenticeship provision. There's some more information on that slide about the grants that are available, and I would sort of also like to remind anybody in the audience that up until the end, government are actually providing a financial incentive that is not it is age related, but it's not sector, it's not tied to particular sectors. But if anybody takes on a young person between the ages of 16 and 25, there is an additional financial incentive there to take that young person on, and you can use that funding to pay for anything that you want that will support that apprentice whilst they're in your employment. If we could move on to the next slide. I just want to touch upon a kickstart. I don't know whether many it's been very well publicised, but basically with the impact of COVID, we've got a really high proportions of unemployed people in the Tees Valley, well, throughout the region and throughout the UK. And to counteract some of that downward trend, the Department for Works and Pensions are investing around about £2 million in a kickstart scheme that'll basically pay for the national minimum wage, that'll pay the wage for a young person aged between 16 and 24 for up to 25 hours a week. And this is sort of like a long-term work placement. Our mayor pledged to try and find 500 places for businesses in Tees Valley for those businesses that wanted less than 30 placements. So we would act as a form of gateway organisation for those businesses. And that has been really, really well received. To say, with a lot of the negative messages and some of the issues that we've already addressed today, it's really heartening to know that we've got well over 500 placements pledged already. But obviously we have to go on the actual applications that we've received, and it's really lovely to be able to say that we've submitted a number of applications on behalf of 110 businesses with nearly 340 placements, and that's been in the space of the 3 weeks that the scheme has actually been open. We do have more applications to look at, and I would urge anybody that hasn't been involved in the Kickstart scheme to have a look at the guidance. If there is a question and answer document on the web page as well, but if there's any questions that people want to raise, to get in touch. It's a real good opportunity to help businesses create talent pipeline, and we're hoping that those young people will either progress into a job within the business that they are taken into for their placement. That is not a requirement of the scheme. This is about getting young people that work experience that employers often cite are the issues, that young people coming out of education or people that have been unemployed for a while haven't got work ready skills. But if we can progress people either into an apprenticeship within other companies or within the supply chain, it's a really good opportunity to take young people on. So all I would do is urge you to take an interest in the guidance and have a look at that opportunity and ask any questions if you're not sure. That concludes my side of the presentation. I'd like you to pass you on to Kelly Britton-Hawes, who's going to talk about the careers side and the education of our work.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Claude, please, the slide on for me, please. Okay, so as Sally said, I'm Kelly Britton-Hawes, and I'm the Education Manager for the Combined Authority. One of the programmes that I lead on and deliver is our teesvalleycareers.com initiative. Just a brief little bit of context and a little bit of scene setting. We were one of the first LEP areas nationally to really start to look at engaging with education and linking employers to support schools and colleges with the delivery of careers provision. What we noticed quite early on with the work that we do around education, employment and skills is that careers is essentially the golden thread. It does link together the education, employment and skills agenda, and we know that employers working with schools and colleges and young people does have significant impact. 86% of young people that receive 4 or more meaningful encounters with employers are less likely to become NEET, not in education, employment and training. So with that thinking and feeling, the Combined Authority set up a £3 million initiative, which is our teesvalleycareers.com programme. It is the first of its kind in the UK, and the aim is all around getting businesses to engage with young people aged 11 to 18 years old, and really to inform them of the real job opportunities and careers information for the Tees Valley. To date, we've got over 923 businesses working with us and supporting that initiative. We've got a target of engaging 100,000 young people and supporting them to access 7 meaningful employer engagements throughout their lifetime in compulsory education. And we're just about to launch our primary pilot as well, and this is mirroring the 11 to 18 offer to primary school students, in particular those in Key Stage 2. The benefits of us, to employers around having the careers.com initiative is that it helps employers with upskilling your current workforce. So in terms of CPD for your employees around mentoring, coaching, working with young people, it does help you to shape your workforce going forward into your future, and it also provides you a platform and access to new local talent in the area. And there's dedicated support from one of our careers coordinators that you would be assigned to work with through our careers team. Claude, could you go on one slide, please? I'll just keep talking till it moves on. There we go. So as part of the careers.com offer, we do actually have a business engagement menu in place. So we've got a package that's available for businesses to support depending on your needs and how much time you can commit to supporting the initiative and working with skills and young people. The menu is split into 3 different areas in terms of light touch involvement, and then also offering more time intensive support to skills and young people. You might be supporting skills with things like mock interviews. It could be doing workshops, secret employer activities, providing works experience. And the way we've actually put in place our employer engagement portal, and it's a facility that we've got on the teesvalleycareers.com website, and it allows employers to engage directly with schools. So if schools have requests for support from employers, it's an easy way for your organisation to sign up and support that request, and vice versa. If you have any opportunities for young people and schools to get involved with, you can advertise those opportunities via the portal as well. Everything is very set in terms of bespoke on your criteria. So if you only want to support certain year groups of students, you can select that. You might only want to work with schools in certain local authority areas. Again, the portal will allow you to have bespoke preferences in terms of meeting your needs and the amount of support that you can offer to schools and colleges. The main thing around what we offer is in terms of your CSR requirements. We have everything there in place to enable you to pull off reports, etc., just to show your level of involvement and engagement with skills and young people. I'm quite conscious of time and that we really want to get to the some live questions from you all. So I'm going to hand back over to Shona Duncan. But for any further information, please visit the teesvalleycareers.com website. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that, Kelly, and also Jackie and Sally on the other items that we've raised today. In terms of questions that we've had from the floor, we've had a couple of points being made around access to higher education and thinking about the diplomas that are available and the access routes for people to access higher education. And I absolutely agree with the comments that they are incredibly important. I think it's really important that we create real progression pathways for people to develop their skills, and also think about how that interacts with businesses and how businesses can interact at different stages within that career and skills journey. So I will pick up some of the conversations around that after this meeting. But also there's Sue Dawson has put a comment on around skill support for the workforce. This is an incredibly important programme for us in terms of Tees Valley businesses accessing support for training their existing workforce. So this is a project where it's funded by European funding, but it basically will provide business-led training solutions for the existing workforce. So if there are any businesses that would like to engage with Sue on that, then let us know, and obviously we will forward your contact details as appropriate. Information is also available on the Tees Valley Combined Authority website. So I'm just looking, there is a discussion item, just having a quick look to see what's there. I've had quite a lot of agreement in terms of what we're saying, which is good. However, what I would say is that any specific questions that anyone would like to raise, then by all means put them in the live Q&A chat and we'll pick them up. If there's anything that anyone would like to follow up with us afterwards, then that would be incredibly important to us in terms of increasing employer engagement. Hopefully you've got the message today that there's no more such an important time in terms of us engaging with you. And I think I would also ask the audience in terms of what's actually stopping you engaging with the education and skills system at the moment. Because we will make this as simple as we possibly can for you. I've got a great team behind me in terms of supporting employers. So, you know, by all means come and ask and explore what the options are. But it's incredibly important and appreciated by our young people and our residents, particularly those that are unemployed and looking for career changes, to gain information from businesses. So please really think hard about how you can maybe start to engage with us, and really think about how we can help you solve your training and skills issues of the current workforce and in the future. I'm not aware that there are any other questions or discussion items being led. Maybe Claude, can you pick up if there's anything else that we should be covering? If not, is there anything else from my team that you would like to add in terms of, we've got, I think, 2 or 3 minutes left?
Just to reinforce the message from me, Shona, to continue to engage with us in terms of planning that provision with our colleges and local authority and independent training providers. The business intelligence is crucial. So please engage with us.
Yeah, and also I have included on the discussion forum the link to the crees.com website, and we do actually have a virtual exhibition. So please do, if you want to support and find out more information. We've currently got Crees coordinators on the stand.
Lovely, thank you, Kelly. Okay, I think if it's okay, we'll end the session there if there's no other further comments from the floor. But you know where we are. By all means, engage through the website and drop us an inquiry, and we'll pick it up as soon as we possibly can and come back to you and try and resolve all of our skills and employment issues of Tees Valley. So thank you very much for engaging today, and hopefully we will engage with you soon. Take care.